Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Land of Enchantment, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this sixth installment of Most Haunted Places in New Mexico, we delve deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From ancient ruins whispering with ancestral voices to abandoned asylums echoing with cries of anguish, New Mexico is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in tragedy, betrayal, and unrelenting sorrow. New Mexico's haunted places are more than just locations, they're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time: Native American battles, Spanish colonial conquests, Wild West shootouts, unsolved murders, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across New Mexico, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted hotels, explore eerie mansions cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of New Mexico, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Luna Mansion, elegance entangled with the supernatural. Nestled in the quaint town of Los Lunas, the Luna Mansion stands as a monument to both luxury and despair, a grand Victorian estate whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy and supernatural activity. Built in 1881 by Don Solomon Luna, a prominent landowner and cattle baron, the mansion quickly became a retreat for the elite, hosting lavish parties and serving as a hub for local politics. With its sweeping staircases, ornate woodwork, and stained glass windows, the Luna Mansion epitomized elegance and sophistication. Yet beneath its polished exterior lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, violence, and untimely deaths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Luna Mansion revolves around room 305, said to be haunted by the spirit of a jilted lover named Isabella. According to local lore, Isabella was a young woman who fell deeply in love with one of Don Solomon's sons, only to discover he had been promised to another in an arranged marriage. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in room 305 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the mansion's haunted lore is believed to be none other than Don Solomon Luna himself. The patriarch reportedly spent his final days in the mansion, tormented by guilt over financial losses and family betrayals. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "I failed them," and "Forgive me." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Don Solomon pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a ledger before vanishing without a trace. The mansion's basement, once used for storage and wine cellars, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Luna Mansion frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the mansion's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's outfit standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Luna Mansion remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Isabella, Don Solomon, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the mansion's tragic tale. The St. James Hotel, ghosts of the Old West perched along the historic Route 66 in Cimarron. The St. James Hotel stands as a relic of the Wild West, a weathered yet elegant establishment that has hosted outlaws, gunslingers, and pioneers during its storied past. Established in 1872, the hotel quickly earned a reputation as a haven for those seeking refuge after long journeys across the untamed frontier. With its rustic charm, bullet-scarred ceiling, and tales of gunfights in the saloon below, the St. James Hotel embodies the rugged spirit of the era. Yet beneath its time-worn beams lies a darker history steeped in bloodshed, betrayal, and spectral encounters. One of the most iconic hauntings associated with the St. James Hotel is that of Henrietta, a former maid who worked at the establishment in the late 19th century. Described as diligent and kind-hearted, Henrietta's life was cut tragically short when she was killed during a robbery attempt in room 18. Her death sent shockwaves through the community, and her memory has since become intertwined with the fabric of the hotel. Guests and staff alike report seeing a woman in a period-made uniform gliding silently through the corridors, her translucent form illuminated by dim light. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing soft humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Henrietta tidying up after guests long gone. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Clay Allison, a notorious gunslinger who frequented the St. James during his travels. Though not a permanent resident, his larger-than-life personality left an indelible mark on the property. Visitors recount sightings of a tall, imposing man clad in cowboy attire, pacing anxiously near the lobby or sitting alone in the saloon. His presence is often accompanied by the faint clinking of spurs and the smell of leather, as though he's preparing for one last showdown. Some speculate that Clay Allison lingers due to unfinished business, unable to part ways with the town that played such a pivotal role in his outlaw life. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the hotel's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into the St. James Hotel's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the third-floor hallway and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the St. James Hotel continues to draw visitors eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter Henrietta, Clay Allison, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. The La Posada de Santa Fe, whispers of art and agony tucked away in the heart of Santa Fe. The La Posada de Santa Fe Resort and Spa stands as a testament to both artistic inspiration and haunting despair. Originally built as a private residence in 1882 by artist and philanthropist Abraham Staub, the estate blends Spanish colonial revival architecture with lush gardens and stunning views of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Today, it operates as a luxury resort, attracting travelers seeking relaxation and cultural enrichment. Yet beneath its serene surface lies a darker narrative, one steeped in marital strife, untimely deaths, and the lingering presence of restless spirits. One of the most pervasive legends tied to La Posada centers around Abraham Staub's wife, Julia. Known for her beauty and grace, Julia endured years of unhappiness within the marriage, as Abraham was rumored to be controlling and unfaithful. Historical accounts suggest that Julia eventually succumbed to illness, though whispers of foul play persist. Locals believe her ghost still roams the property, particularly in the Rose Room, where she would retreat to paint during her final days. Guests staying in this room report strange occurrences, faint brushstrokes appearing on blank canvases, the scent of roses filling the air, and the sensation of being watched. Some claim to see a pale figure dressed in Victorian-era clothing standing near the window, her expression frozen in eternal melancholy. Another haunting figure associated with La Posada is believed to be Abraham Staub himself. After Julia's death, Abraham became increasingly reclusive, spending his days locked away in his study. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have documented EVP recordings capturing a deep, gravelly voice muttering phrases like, "Leave me alone," and "She's gone." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure pacing restlessly near the library, his silhouette illuminated by candlelight before dissolving into thin air. Others report feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the study, as though the air itself resists intrusion. The resort's gardens, once cultivated by Julia herself, remain a focal point of paranormal activity. Visitors strolling through the manicured pathways often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out in languages unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be prayers or songs from another era. Others report seeing apparitions of women in flowing dresses tending to flower beds, their faces obscured by wide-brimmed hats. Paranormal investigators exploring La Posada have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the Rose Room and the main staircase. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the study, its hands clasped together as if in prayer. These findings have solidified the resort's reputation as one of New Mexico's most active haunted sites. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, La Posada de Santa Fe continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the tragedies committed in pursuit of wealth and power. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, La Posada offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Fort Stanton Hospital, echoes of suffering and sacrifice hidden deep in the high desert of Lincoln County, the Fort Stanton Hospital stands as a solemn sentinel of healing and hardship. A sprawling military sanatorium built in 1899 to treat soldiers afflicted with tuberculosis. Surrounded by stark landscapes and endless skies, the hospital served as a refuge for those battling the White Plague, offering fresh air, sunlight therapy, and cutting-edge treatments of the time. Yet beneath its utilitarian facade lies a darker narrative, one steeped in isolation, despair, and the lingering presence of those who succumb to their illnesses within its walls. One of the most persistent legends tied to Fort Stanton involves Ward B, a secluded section of the hospital reserved for terminally ill patients. Historical records indicate that this ward housed individuals deemed too weak to recover, effectively becoming a waiting room for death. Decades later, visitors exploring the abandoned facility report hearing faint coughing and wheezing emanating from the sealed-off chamber. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled in the corners, their faces obscured by darkness, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the door. Another haunting figure associated with Fort Stanton is believed to be Nurse Eleanor Grayson, a dedicated caregiver who worked tirelessly during the hospital's operational years. According to local lore, Eleanor contracted tuberculosis herself after years of exposure to infected patients and died shortly thereafter. Her ghost is said to wander the second-floor landing, her ethereal form clad in a starched white uniform. Guests staying overnight have reported waking up to the sound of soft footsteps padding down the halls, followed by the gentle rustle of fabric, as though someone is adjusting bed linens. Others describe seeing a pale woman gazing mournfully out of upstairs windows, her expression frozen in eternal anguish. The hospital's basement, once used for storage and medical research, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the hospital's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into Fort Stanton's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the third-floor hallway and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original occupants. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Don't let go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Fort Stanton Hospital continues to draw visitors eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of healing. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Fort Stanton offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Patterns across New Mexico's haunted places, themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of New Mexico, from the opulent halls of the Luna Mansion to the somber grounds of Fort Stanton Hospital. Striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of courthouses, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through New Mexico's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of New Mexico's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.